Welcome to the Sacred Heart Garden. We are going to start on this side of the garden. Let's start with the sunflowers. So we have sunflowers that are going to be blooming very shortly. This is a dwarf variety of sunflower, so it should only get like 2 to 3 feet tall. Beneath the sunflowers, I have some amaranth that I planted. My Malabar spinach has started climbing up the trellis. That is one of my favorite varieties of spinach because it is heat tolerant. It does vine and it gets really crazy, so you have to be prepared for that and have a nice trellis, but it's a great spinach for warmer climates and the heat of the summer. My arugula flowered and I have not replanted it yet, so this row will get ripped up shortly and I will replant the seeds. Most of my lettuce row also needs to go to the chickens. Once lettuce bolts, it's no longer really edible because it's very bitter tasting. The lettuce on the end though is still good. See, broccoli, I have already harvested 2 of the bigger heads, but you can see some of the side shoots forming. At the end of my broccoli row, I have an experiment and it looks like it's alive. While I was pruning my tomatoes over here, I noticed that some of them had formed roots and started to grow on their own, some of the suckers. So I decided to snip them off and plant them in the ground and see if they would survive, and it looks like it did. Next to the broccoli, we have some very sad looking peppers. The peppers are still producing, but the plants do not look healthy. The pepper plants don't like all the rain we've been getting, and they've started dropping leaves. We've been harvesting a ton of radishes already. And actually these plants in the middle are not radishes, that's a kohlrabi plant. So this is what happens when radishes go to seed. So these little pods are edible. They're just radish seed pods and they taste like a spicy sweet pea. My kale is going crazy. I planted 2 varieties of kale this year, a Siberian and then a Russian red. And I don't like the Siberian kale. Here, let me show you. Besides the bug damage, the leaves just get so big and the stalks just aren't strong enough to hold it, so they end up breaking off like that. And then they fall on other plants, which shades those. So I don't really like this variety. I don't think I'm going to grow it again, but it does taste pretty good. Look at all these beets. I grew 2 varieties, golden and a Detroit red. The golden ones are very, very sweet, and both varieties are very good. This row looks a little sparse because we just harvested my garlic. I started some bean seeds in its place, and we have some beans growing on the opposite side as well. And those have started to flower. These peppers over here are doing better than my sweet pepper row, but these are all of my hot peppers. And let's see, I saw some Tabasco peppers. Yep, those are Tabasco. In my tomato row, these 4 tomato plants are doing very well. I just pruned them the other day and it looks like they need another pruning. If you can hear thunder, it's about to storm. I have a few cabbage plants as well, mostly green ones, but I do have 1 red one. And those cabbages are very small still, so hopefully we'll get a fall crop of cabbage. And I have some beautiful nasturtiums interplanted with these tomatoes. I planted a couple of squash plants over here. And we do have 1 growing. This is a lemon squash. Beneath all this squash, I have celery growing. Beautiful rainbow Swiss chard. My poor jalapeno plants are also victim to this wet weather. You can see just the leaves just look so unhappy and they've been falling off too. We will still get a crop of peppers, but not as good as last year. This row of peppers looks the saddest of them all, and I actually planted some bean seeds over here. My carrots are so big and beautiful. I planted 2 varieties, 1 Danvers and then a purple carrot, and actually both of those need to come out real soon because it's about their harvest date, which is about 60-70 days. My eggplants are flowering, and my ground cherries are enormous. Like, these are huge plants. I didn't realize they got this big. Ground cherries are a fun fruit. When they are ready to harvest, the husk turns brown and they fall on the ground. And they're delicious. My cucumbers are about halfway up this trellis. My okra started flowering. I have 2 varieties of okra, a red burgundy and a Clemson spineless. My onions are pretty much ready to harvest. I have 3 varieties, a white, a yellow, and a red. it is the next day because it started raining. Actually, it started pouring and we went inside. So here we are again. Let's finish the last 2 rows of the garden. All right, this first bed here used to be my chamomile row, but I had to pull that out because it died. So I planted quinoa in its place. Not sure if I'm gonna get a harvest of quinoa because the plants are very tiny still, but we'll see. Last but not least, we have my bachelor buttons. So I've been saving my bachelor button seeds for quite a few years now, probably like 3 or 4, and I keep getting new colors every year, which is really exciting. I have this beautiful light and dark purple flower, a beautiful dark blue, and this maroon color. Look how pretty that is. And then I also have various shades of pinks and whites. And before closing out the video, I should mention my hollyhocks are about to bloom. I'm so excited for those. Thank you, Nana, for those hollyhock seeds. And this is gonna wrap up this garden tour for the Sacred Heart Garden. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.